Welcome everyone to Embark's informational session on hiking and trekking in Peru. I'm Carrie O'Callahan. I'm the Director of Travel and Logistics, and I happen to love hiking in the Andes in Peru. I've probably been 5 times in the last 2 years, and I'm absolutely in love. So I'm really excited to share with you what Embark has to offer for hiking and trekking in Peru. We're going to get it started off right with a little visual. Most people come for this, Machu Picchu, but they never see this. So just a little bit of a visual there to get you excited about what's to come and whet your appetite for more info on hiking in Peru. So first we're going to start off with just some facts about trekking in Peru in general. Hiking season, trekking season, we're talking wet season versus dry season because Peru is somewhat equatorial, and dry season is April through October. June is a really special month because they celebrate the solstice there, so it's busy, but it's also really great weather, so it's a good time to go. You do need 9 to 11 days in the country to successfully complete one of these treks, meaning that you need at least 2 or 3 days to acclimatize before trekking. There's really high rate of failure for those who don't acclimatize because this is high elevation trekking. All of these treks are non-technical. There's no ropes, no harnesses, no ice axes, no technical skills needed, just your hiking boots. Embark prides itself on offering and curating really unique locations and itineraries and offering that like off the beaten path feel. And to that end, we kind of quite pridefully don't offer the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. We're looking for much more of an authentic kind of deep in the mountains, remote experience with some really genuine interactions with the local communities. And we feel really proud for what we've kind of established down there in that sense. These hikes are huge mental and physical challenges because it is hiking at higher elevations. So again, acclimatization is very important. We're hiking about 6 to 8 hours per day, and these treks are pack animal supported. So if you've been on any one of Embark's trips to Kilimanjaro, it's quite different in that sense because our support staff, in terms of the people carrying our stuff, is much smaller. Finally, these hikes include multiple passes over 15,000 feet. So it's quite unique in the way that each day has its own obstacle and subsequent reward. Every day is very dynamic and different, and so it's really engaging in that sense. Here is an overview of the different treks that we run. We've grouped them for those that we run out of the Cusco region versus the one that we run north of Lima in order of difficulty. So we have our secret valleys of Salkantay, our Ausangate Lodge trek, Ausangate camping, and then our high passes of Salkantay. Those are all run out of the Cusco region. And then out of the Lima region, we have our Huayhuash Elite trek that is considered our most difficult trek. This is a way that you can kind of envision it map-wise. Everybody who comes to Peru is going to fly into Lima. If you are doing one of our Salkantay or Ausangate treks, you will fly further from Lima into Cusco. It's about an hour-and-a-half flight out of Lima. If you are doing our Huayhuash trek, you will fly into Lima and transfer up to the Huayhuash region. So we're going to start talking about our Cusco-based treks. Cusco is located at about 11,000 feet. I think it's technically 11,200 feet. So flying in can be quite the doozy. It's very, very high. It is an important base for acclimatization. So we really take our time there. We have 2 days worked into each itinerary for rest, rehydration, and we do offer a really comprehensive city tour as part of that. Cusco is a World Heritage Site. It's got a really romantic feel to it. It's safe, it's charming. If you're like me, you won't want to leave. It's really great. And like I referenced before, June is a really special time of year to visit because there's all kinds of parties, parades, and celebrations. Everybody's coming from the surrounding areas, dressed to the nines, dancing, having festivities. It's really special. So starting in the Ausangate region, which is a mountain range southeast of Cusco, we've got a camping trek and a lodge trek. Both of them are 4 hours away from Cusco. They feature the famous Rainbow Mountain, as well as the Ausangate Mountain, the fifth highest mountain in Peru. It is high elevation hiking. We never sleep below 14,000 feet on both of these treks. This is a visual of where the Ausangate Range is. You drive out of Cusco and the trek runs in these mountains down southeast here. And you've got Machu Picchu up north there. This is a trip overview of the camping itinerary. So you fly in, you've got 2 nights at a hotel in Cusco before you drive out to the Ausangate region, where you're starting at about 14,000 feet. 5 nights camping, 6 days hiking before you head out of the mountains and to Machu Picchu, where you stay 1 night out there before heading back to Cusco for a final night before departure. The camping trek is fully supported camping. What does that mean? That means that all of our gear is transported and set up for us. There's no setting up your tent when you get to camp and trying to piece together a meal, get your ramen put together. Nope, we've got all of your meals prepared and ready for you with our super, super passionate and experienced cooks. They're all served in our cozy mess tent. You're only responsible for carrying your day pack with things like water, your different clothing layers, and maybe some snacks. And we do always provide horses to ride if we need them. Hiking about 6 to 8 hours per day. This is just some visuals of camp life where we've got our 4-season tents. They're 3-person tents where we put 2 people in, so there's enough room for your gear. Our big mess tent, composting toilets with privacy curtains, and where the magic happens, the cook's quarters. This is inside our beautiful mess tent, very nicely appointed, something you would not expect to see at 15,000 feet out in the middle of nowhere, but we do it right. And this is headed off after breakfast in the beautiful mountains of Ausangate on the camping circuit. This is the trip overview for our lodge itinerary, organized a tiny bit differently, where you fly into Cusco, but you immediately go out near Machu Picchu and spend 2 nights in the valley out there. Then you head back into Cusco for 1 night before heading out to the Ausangate region, starting a little bit lower at around 12,000 feet. You've got your 4 nights on trek, 5 days hiking, transfer out of the mountains and back to Cusco for 1 night on the back end before you head home. The way the Lodge to Lodge Trek is organized is, again, that all of our gear is carried for us. This is a really unique partnership that we have with two local communities who've actually come together to help build and finance these remote mountain lodges. And they also happen to staff our lodges. It is really special. When you start your lodge trek, you have your people who are with you, who are working at the lodge, and they are with you the entire time. They hike a little faster than us every day, but so that they can get to the lodge just in time. They're used to the elevation because they're from that region. So they're there waiting for us, preparing our meals, having a nice hot fire ready and hot drinks for us. And each of the rooms in the hotels has ensuite bathrooms with hot showers. There's proper beds with down comforters, complete with hot water bottles waiting for you when you go to bed at night. It's really special. Again, you are only responsible for carrying your day pack from lodge to lodge, and we always have horses available. This is another one of the lodges. So there are 4 lodges. 3 of them look like this one, and 1 of them looks like the last image. And this is breakfast at one of those beautiful lodges, getting ready to get our stuff together, get fueled up for heading out for hiking for the day. So key differences, lodge versus camping. We do consider the camping itinerary a little bit more difficult than the lodges. It's labeled difficult where lodges is strenuous. It's mainly because you're kind of camping outside, you're a little bit more exposed, you've just got more days on the trail, and you also have more passes. The camping itinerary includes 6 high passes, and the lodges has 4. Camping has a little bit more mileage to it, which makes sense since it is 1 day longer in hiking. This is a local shaman who is also one of the lead horsemen on our lodge trek, and he is doing a blessing ceremony. And I included this photo because it's pretty indicative of what you'll experience on most of our treks in Peru. The local people are extremely tied to Mother Nature and to the mountains, and so offering up one of these blessing ceremonies for safe passage through the mountains is very common and something that you will undoubtedly experience on your trip to Peru. This is a group that we had, and that is Rainbow Mountain behind them. And just to give you a feel of what it feels like to get to the top of the final pass on the Ausangate camping trek, here is a fun video. So
last pass.
You can see there the imagery of the mountains and just how enveloped in them you truly are in the Ausangate range. It's really, really astounding and something you have to experience. I love it out there. Okay, we're moving now from the Ausangate range to the Salkantay region. We have 2 itineraries that revolve around the Salkantay mountain, and both are camping treks. One is called the Secret Valleys of Salkantay, and the other is High Passes of Salkantay Mountain. These ones are 4 hours north of Cusco, and like I said, feature the famous Salkantay Mountain. It's the highest mountain in that range, the Vilcabamba mountain range. The significance of the really great thing about these 2 itineraries is that you physically hike to Machu Picchu and enter through the Sun Gate, the traditional Incan entrance of Machu Picchu. So it's really, both of those itineraries are really special in that sense. Here is a map imagery of where those two hikes are. You've got Cusco down here, driving out to our trailheads, and this is Salkantay Mountain, around which those hikes are based, and headed all the way up into Machu Picchu here. This is an overview of our high passes itinerary near Salkantay Mountain. You can see that you've got 2 nights for acclimatization in Cusco prior. Our starting elevation is about 12,000 feet. And you've got 6 nights of camping, 7 days of hiking. Just so much time out in those mountains to get to your 9 high passes, which is quite the endeavor. At the end, you hike up through Machu Picchu, spend 1 night at a hotel at the base of Machu Picchu, and then then head out to Cusco the next day for a final night in Cusco before heading home. And then this is the Secret Valleys itinerary, which you can see has just the 1 high pass. Again, 2 nights on the front end for acclimatization, starting a lot lower and hitting that high pass while camping for 3 nights. You are spending 1 night in a hotel before you hike up into Machu Picchu, then 2 nights at a hotel near Machu Picchu, and a final night in Cusco before heading home. Here is just some imagery of what to expect on the Secret Valleys. That is the one with the 1 high pass. And this is it. This is Tokto Pass coming up on Salkantay Mountain. And then this is the next day with the other side of Salkantay behind us. And most importantly, the trail dog leading us. And then this is some imagery of the high passes of Salkantay, which I just had the pleasure of doing in October, and it was really, really amazing. You can see that the mountains, you're just really in the mountains for a long period of time, nestled in there, where they're just erupting up all around you. It's pretty profound. Again, both of those treks are fully supported. 3-person tents where we put 2 people, mess tent, cook's quarters, composting toilets, the whole 9 yards. Everything is done for us. We're just in charge of our day packs. Differences, Secret Valleys versus high passes. Secret Valleys is considered our less strenuous endeavor in Peru. That's not to say that it is easy by any way, shape, or form, but it is the least arduous of those 4 offerings. The high passes is definitely considered difficult plus because it has 9 whole passes to it, and you are out there for 7 days hiking. The high passes itinerary is 40 total miles, while the Secret Valleys is 46 total miles. Okay, moving on to our final itinerary, the Huayhuash Elite Trek, which is based out of Lima. And that is a camping trek. So just a visual for you, flying into Lima and then transporting all the way up to the mountain town of Huaraz. And here is the Huayhuash Range where our trip is based out of. A little bit about the circuit. It is 8 hours north of Lima. It features the Huayhuash mountain range, which is south of the Cordillera Blanca range, and both of those are considered the central Andes of Peru. We've got 7 passes to cross, all over 15,000 feet, hiking about 68 hours per day. This is a long one. It is 60 total miles. And here is the overview of that, where you've got 1 night in Lima, and then you've got 3 nights in our base, Huaraz, and 2 of those days are spent doing acclimatization hikes to get us ready for our circuit. We head out and do 8 nights camping, 9 days hiking, and then come out of the mountains to a different town called Chiquien, which is at around 11,000 feet. We have a final night there in the hotel, and then back to Lima for departure. A little bit about Huaraz. It is more of a mountaineering community, less of a cultural hub compared to Cusco. We use it as our base for acclimatization. We're there for 3 days for resting, hydrating, and doing those acclimatization hikes that I referenced. It really is a really charming town with a really strong outdoor community. And you will see lots and lots of other kind of outdoors people and mountaineers from all around the world because this particular portion of the Andes is sought after by mountaineers. It's considered, I think they call it is it the Alps of South America or the Himalayas of South America? It's quite profound. It's really, really beautiful. All right, here is a map of our trek route, the circuit that we do. We're coming from up north and we're starting in Matacancha and kind of making our way clockwise, hitting a pass every day as we go around the Huayhuash Range until we make an almost complete full circle and finish up at Pokpa, where we have transport out to Chiquian for our final night in the hotel for a well-deserved sleep in a bed after all those days and all those miles hiking. And just a reminder that that trek is a camping trek, but it is a fully supported camping trek. How does the Huayhuash Trek compare to the other ones that we were talking about that are based out of Cusco? It is definitely our most difficult one, just the trifecta of the camping, the multiple passes, and the longer mileage really builds it up and makes it a longer, more arduous and physically demanding trek. Again, it's 60 total miles, where the others that are based out of Cusco are more 30 to 45 mile range. And again, you do fly in and out of Lima. It is not in the Machu Picchu region. Here is just some imagery of the beautiful mountains in the Huayhuash region. You can see that they are something else. And one final video for you of our family and what you can expect around any corner on the Huayhuash Circuit. We were there a couple of years ago, well, a year ago, with our kids. They did not do the full circuit. They did not do the full 60 miles, but you can see that just around every corner is these amazing mountains. And last but not least, don't forget that Machu Picchu is there waiting for you. 4 of our 5 offerings do include Machu Picchu, and you can always tack it on to the end of your Huayhuash circuit and just make that little flight from Lima to Cusco. This is a number of our groups who've been there recently, and when you go, you will realize just how amazing and special of a place it is. Once you set foot there, you are really kind of taken by everything and the views and the feel and the mysticness of it. It really is amazing. And our guides are really, really knowledgeable and passionate about the site, and they will reveal to you things that you never knew about Machu Picchu. It's pretty amazing. And finally, that is our family at Machu Picchu last summer. Super special. Okay, that is it from me. I am ready to be done talking and doing slides. More than happy to answer any questions that you have about trekking in Peru in general, or maybe specifics about one or two of the itineraries. You can submit your questions to the chat, and I will do my best to answer. Talk about the first 2 days in Cusco. Yeah, so you fly into Cusco, we pick you up and transport you to the hotel, the group hotel. First day is kind of resting and relaxing because it is really high in elevation and you need to make sure that you're hydrating and getting lots of sleep. The next day we have a full city tour and a group briefing. And the city tour is really comprehensive. It hits lots and lots of archaeological sites and churches and cultural activities that you wouldn't even know exist, weaving and visiting llamas. It's all inclusive. So then you have your group briefing in the evening where you meet your guiding staff and do a gear check and get ready to head out the next day to your on trek. a hotel in Lima, yes, we can make recommendations on hotels in Lima and which neighborhoods you want to be staying in. There is the Miraflores neighborhood and the Barranco neighborhood. And Dave, I recognize your name, so I can definitely tell you specifics offline if you want more specifics than that. Do people stay in Lima or go straight to Cusco on their flight? Most people choose to go just transfer in Lima and go straight to Cusco. You're more than welcome to spend a day or two in Lima ahead of time. Lima is at sea level, so you won't be doing any acclimatization in Lima. It's more about seeing the city and eating the great food and taking in the sights. Oh, good question about are the pack animals horses or llamas? In the Ausangate range, the pack animals are a combination of horses and llamas. And in the Salkantay and the Huayhuash range, they are horses. Are there after trek excursions for the lodge trek? There are after trek excursions for all of the itineraries, which I just went over. You can choose to go visit Lake Titicaca. You can go to the Amazon. You can go to visit the Nazca lines outside of Lima. There are some islands off the coast of Lima that people do. Yes, there's plenty to do in Peru. What are the latest dates in October for your treks? We have an October 14th through 24th a high passes trek, and other than that, we have I believe 1 week after that is available for either of the treks that we run out of the Cusco region. Is there an option for partner to skip the trekking and only visit Machu Picchu? Absolutely. We do that all the time. You go out on your trek, they come in while you're still on trek, they meet you at the end of the hike, and then you go together to Machu Picchu. Happy to plan that for them if they want. How do you get water on the trek? We are responsible for providing all of your water. We filter and chemically treat the water, and it's available in the mornings and the evenings. If you were to run out of water during the day, we have extra water that we can share with you. What type of Peruvian food do you have on the trek? We have all kinds of Peruvian food. We have everything from the famous, oh, now I'm going to be stumped. Peru has quite an interesting Chinese influence. And so there's a famous dish that is flambéed with these big flames, and it is beef, and it's got like a Chinese tinge to it. It's really kind of special. And then you've got lighter stuff, lots of chicken. Quinoa is really, really high in the dietary practice of Peruvians. There's lots of quinoa. So there's definitely options for vegetarian, vegan, and gluten-free. Also, we serve chicken, and trying to remember all of the things that I've eaten the last times I've been there. Ceviche, all of the things. Can you talk about horses on the trek for emergency rescue and if people can't get up over the pass? Yes, as referenced multiple times in my presentation, we always have a horseman who has the horse, who's following close behind us and is ready at any given point in time to have somebody hop on that horse if they're not feeling well and need a little bit of extra help. If somebody is really not doing well and we need to evacuate you out of the trek, then we use horses and staff members and do that and have coordinated hospitals in town and private clinics in case of emergency. Somebody said, what are the trails like? Is there a lot of rock steps? It really is varied. Yes, there are a lot of rock steps. There's a lot of uneven footing, but these are also ancient Incan footpaths that locals use every day. So they're very well traveled. But there are times, especially in the Huayhuash region, where the trail can be rocky and uneven, for sure. Any other questions? What is the likelihood of access to Machu Picchu being blocked by protesters? Not likely. Um, the government has settled their disputes with the local community at the base of Machu Picchu and figured out a way to move forward. And so that's not likely that that will be that the entrance to Machu Picchu will be blocked. How do you define the capability to enjoy the trip? Um, Come in your best physical version of yourself. That means doing anywhere between 4 and 6 months of training ahead of time and following Embark's training plan, putting in a lot of cardio over everything else and just making sure that you are getting out there and you're hiking all of the time before your trip. And then when you can't hike, that you're augmenting with some sort of other kind of workout routine to make sure that you show up as physically fit as you can. Which leads to a question that hasn't been asked, but that's important to touch on because there has been so much talk about high elevation. It is almost impossible to train for elevation. The only real thing you can do if you really wanted to train for elevation is to move to a mountain town for a few months ahead of time and really get your body acclimated. That's not in most people's abilities. So what most people do is they make sure that they're very physically fit. When they show up on site in Cusco, make sure that you're hydrating, you're not consuming alcohol, and most of our hikers bring Diamox with them, which is a diuretic that helps with elevation. Some people choose to take that first thing when they arrive into the country. Other people might wait and see how they feel. If they start feeling crummy, then they take Diamox. But that is my answer to your question about the capability to enjoy, as well as me and my 2 cents about elevation. Is there a maximum age you recommend? No, there's not a maximum age. It depends on your hiking profile and your experience. If you are an older hiker, you probably want to have hiked, have some sort of hiking history. Ideally, you might have had multi-day hiking in your past where you understand what it means to get up and hike for days on end, one day after another. But there's no tried and true, we won't take anybody over 65 or anything. It just depends on you personally and what your general experience is, and your physical ability. Are there any vaccinations necessary? No, there are no required vaccinations. The CDC recommends that you have your usual vaccines that you would have had growing up in the United States or any other kind of industrialized society. And then on top of that, you might consider typhoid and Hep A or Hep B. How does the Ausangate camping compare to Kilimanjaro in difficulty? Um, It is probably almost equal to as difficult. However, it is not as long. You're not camping in the Ausangate region for the amount of days that you are hiking and camping up on Kilimanjaro. And the one thing that the Ausangate camping, that any of these itineraries in Peru don't have, is the nighttime summit with the 4,000 feet elevation gain that Kilimanjaro has. So that makes Kilimanjaro more difficult than Alsangate camping. However, I was recently on a trip with a number of people who had done Kilimanjaro, and they definitely were very, very physically challenged and impressed by that in a positive way. Is a visa required for entry? No, you do not need a visa to enter. You will get a 90-day tourist visa upon entry into the country. You don't have to apply for anything ahead of time, and it doesn't cost anything. Can I talk about our guide Claudio, who guides our Alsangate camping and our high passes of Salkantay camp? Yes, Claudio is our lead guide for those two itineraries. He is a personal friend of Embark's. He has been with Embark to Everest Base Camp. He is a very knowledgeable, passionate Peruvian guide who has been in the industry for over 20 years. And he is also from the local indigenous population. So he speaks Quechua, and he's really passionate about bringing that connection to the local communities to each of our treks. And he knows people where we're going to be staying and introduces you, and you go in people's houses, and he provides a really unique, in-depth kind of cultural component. He also is an avid photographer and takes the most amazing photos. And he's amazing. He's definitely a treat to have as a guide. Could you address the costs of the different treks, and do you have a minimum number of trekkers per adventure? I'm not going to get into individual costs of treks. I will say that the lodge trek, because you're physically staying indoors and you're in more hotels, even when you're not on trek, that costs more than the other treks. And there is usually a cost associated with the number of trekkers that are going to be in any given hike. That starts out at a minimum number of 2, but pricing decreases as you add more people. And the max that we take is 12 people on any one of these hikes, just because of safety and authenticity and maintaining the genuineness, the credibility of the trek. I would encourage people who are on this call, if they are interested in specific itineraries, to definitely reach out to us, info@embarkexploration.com, or myself or Donovan. Send us an email and we can get in touch with you with specific itineraries and pricing. This is my favorite comment so far. Sounds great. I want to do all 4. Yes, yes, you do. I'm going to give us just a couple more minutes if anybody else has any other questions, and then we'll start wrapping it up. While you're thinking about questions, I do have to say, like I did at the beginning, that I truly am. I've trekked all over the world. I've hiked all over the world. And there is something very special in the pull of Peru, and you will feel it when you get there. It really is quite unique and something that for a lot of people and for myself before I ever went, is pretty unexpected with the profoundness of these mountains and these mountain ranges. They're very special, and we've taken a lot of time and energy to kind of curate the best of the best for our clients. So hopefully you guys are convinced and take a chance and experience it for yourselves. Okay, I think that is all. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time. And like I said, reach out with any questions. We're here to answer. Thank you.